Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Market Check brought to you by BB. There is no second best live YouTube stream to talk about the markets. Welcome back, guys. Happy Monday, August 4th. Almost 2/3 of the way through the year and obviously coming into the end of the summer. What does it mean for the markets? We're going to discuss it and more on today's show. Obviously, we're having a huge rebound from Friday, both sentimentally and in price. Obviously, we were dumping on Friday. A lot of that had to do with kind of the risk-off conditions that we saw in equity markets after the NFP print. We're bouncing. What's next? We're going to talk about it on Market Check today. But welcome, guys. I'm Snorlax. You also know me as Tommy. I'm joined by Max, Chef Jackus, and of course Louis. Welcome to you guys as well. I hope everybody had a great weekend. Enjoying the final bits of summer. I feel like I've been taking advantage of it, but I won't yap for too long. I'm sure you guys are very much looking forward to the conversation today. Our thoughts on the market, our thoughts on equities, of course, our thoughts on Bitcoin, ETH, and crypto. I mean, ETH is up 4.5%. Bitcoin's up only 0.5%. So I felt like I had to point that out to start the show. But before we can get started, guys, I'm going to need you guys to smash that like button for us. Prices are green. You guys know you got to hold up your end of the bargain now, too. Hit that like button for us, and we'll do our best to cook you guys up some delicious alpha to start your week. But let's talk about the market, right? Because Friday, as I mentioned, we had a negative NFP print. Shows that the economy is maybe weakening, maybe not. It could just be a one-off print. But what it does kind of signal is, okay, Powell probably had this data, maybe should have been a little bit more open to a cut last Wednesday. The market hated kind of the sequence of events that we came into at the end of last week. And obviously in crypto, we're a 24/7 market. So you have the ability to hedge or short or long, even on weekends. And as we saw, there was actually some pretty significant hedging pressure that came in throughout the weekend. I would say probably about halfway through Saturday is when we kind of saw that selling pressure stop. And ever since then, we've kind of just been squeezing bears faces off. So I guess the question now is, okay, we're more or less back to, I think, where we were trading, maybe not quite on Friday, but definitely kind of maybe Saturday morning. Are we going to see further sell-off from the markets, or is the bottom in? I will say, just kind of from my purview, I do think no matter how this week resolves, we're probably going to end up trading higher by the end of August. I know there's been a lot of pain already over the last few weeks. There could be more pain coming, let's be honest, as we set this monthly low. But I do think the ultimate resolution will likely be higher. But let's discuss, guys. Do we like the altcoin strength? Do we like the Monday pump that we're seeing? Are we skeptical? Are we believing it? What do we think about the markets right now, all things considered?
That right there. Sweaty nachos followed Rule 69. That's what I love to hear.
I will have you know that I actually could not afford breakfast this morning. So you're right. Yeah. I'm wearing a hoodie that I got for free 5 years ago. I bought 2 Ram 1500 work trucks back when I was in property management. And I told them I was only buying the trucks if they would throw in a free hoodie. And actually, believe it or not, I spent over $100,000 on 2 work trucks. And the guy who sold me the trucks was like, "Oh, the merch up front is a different department than selling the trucks." And I was like, "Dude, it's a $40 hoodie. You're gonna make like at least $4,000 from this. Then you're buying me the hoodie."
Yeah.
And he bought me the hoodie. So I'm wearing, it's a free Ram hoodie, not a sponsor of the show. We don't have any. Just repping it. It's comfortable. Feeling a little under the weather. Got a bit of a cold this weekend. It's bullshit. Hearing Tommy talk about how we might drop even lower makes me very upset. I'm not even sure I can handle being on the show with him today after what he just said. But yeah, I haven't eaten breakfast because I can't afford it. I'm wearing a $40 Ram hoodie that I got for free, and someone needs to buy my shitcoin. That's really what it comes down to. Buy my shitcoin. But yeah, that's kind of it. Decent weekend. I'm happy to see that the ETH weekend shorters got blown out this morning. They deserve it. They absolutely deserve it. If you short and pile in on a weekend breakdown, you deserve to get blown out Monday, regardless of whether yeah, just like that. Just like that. You deserve to get blown out. So we'll see if we end up revisiting those lows again. But yeah, I mean, every single time a weekend shorter gets blown out, there's this warm and fuzzy feeling inside me that I can't explain. It's just like it makes me feel all like cozy, like I'm sitting next to like a warm fireplace, at like 8 p.m. in like a log cabin or something. Like that's how I feel watching the weekend Bears get blown out, right? They think they're so smart and then they just get blown out first thing on a Monday. I mean, you know better. You know better. You don't
You
hold
should know better at this
weekend
point.
going
I
into
feel
a
like
New York Open.
I feel like whenever we have weekend volatility, it's like it almost always retraces.
Yep.
Pepe's bottomed against every other altcoin, Brad. I'm sorry to tell you. You were the signal, brother. Thank you for your sacrifice, Brad. Thank you. Greatly appreciate it. You will not be forgotten when we go to 50 billion. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, looking at Louis' chart here, I mean, it looks incredibly bullish. It's just a question of how long does it take? Like some of my middle time frame signals are slightly like, I don't even want to say risk off because they're more just like at a stalemate right now. Lower time frame as of this morning, like some of my systems were risk on Saturday evening and are still in some lower time frame longs. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely a higher time frame loss of momentum here where we're going to have to find some juice, I would say, in the next 2 or 3 weeks to avoid retracing lower. But I'm not expecting like some crazy capitulation here. I think this is just a little cool off. So
just need to cool off before the next rally. Unironically, though, I think that's what we're seeing, honestly, is just kind of we had this huge volume move into 110, 120K on BTC. And it kind of got stuffed by whoever sold $8 billion worth of Bitcoin, right, through Galaxy Digital. So, I guess my question is, do we need to unwind a little bit more before higher? Is this kind of a situation where I feel like we've kind of seen this before throughout this cycle where we'll make a marginally higher high on a higher time frame, and it doesn't quite have the juice to be able to more aggressively break into price discovery. Maybe we just go sideways from here, right? I want to preface that by saying that maybe we just go sideways, but I feel like we have seen when Bitcoin is struggling to go up, but at the same time, you can look at, I think the order books, Bitfinex has been bidding. So to me, that signals, okay, for one, the highs are probably not in. Do we need to get maybe that more aggressive flush to clear out some of the underwater longs potentially to suck in more shorts before eventually it's kind of like a beach ball underwater effect? I kind of feel like that's how it's going to play out again. That maybe we trade a little bit deeper this week and that the reversal will be very swift. I think thematically high time frame is still overwhelmingly bullish. The bottom might already be in though. Like, let me be clear. I don't think that you should be aggressively swing shorting necessarily, but I can definitely see the opportunity for Bitcoin to make another lower low.
Go ahead, try the hedge. You'll like it. I mean,
It's
yeah.
No, what were you saying, Louis? Sorry.
No, finish because I want to.
I don't even remember what I was going to say, honestly.
Okay. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, everybody, like, I know, yes, last week was scary. I know this weekend was a little scary. I was actually very busy this weekend. I actually got to marry 2 of my best friends. That was pretty cool. So I am officially ordained at this point, and due to unforeseen market conditions, I am now charging $10,000 per wedding, and I could come and do your
That's pretty
ceremony
awesome.
for you until the market can pick up. Because
Wow, Louis.
I am horrendously down bad.
That's amazing.
But no, in all seriousness, no, it was a great time. Sure, I checked my phone once or twice, and I was like, "Damn!" Right? But you have to remember the context. Context is one: it was a weekend. Rule number 69: you never sell the weekend altcoin bleed. Okay, and here we are now, seeing a strong bounce back. Sure, we probably can backfill, right, some of those weekend bounces, right? I don't know if we're going to revisit those lows. If I had to give a a prediction, I say we don't, but I say we definitely can backfill some of it before heading back to the upside. In the grand scheme of things, those guys, this is the total crypto market cap chart. When it gets noisy, when things feel crazy, it's hard to get signal. It's hard to really understand what's going on in the crypto market. This is the chart that you should turn to, right? And as of now, this is all that happened to the crypto asset class last week, guys. That's it. There's a little tiny blip on the chart, right? So in the grand scheme of things, we're still in a high time frame uptrend. In the grand scheme of things, we held the weekly candle close above our local high that we had broken out above. Wouldn't really consider this a breakout just yet, right? We kind of got above it. Looks like we're trying to back test it. So obviously do want to see this hold. But in the grand scheme of things, we got a nice weekly close above this local high, and likely looking to stair step here, right? Likely looking to stair step and continue higher. High time frame trend for the crypto asset class is up and to the right until proven otherwise, right? So although last week and this weekend seemed a little scary, this is all it is, right? This is the high time frame trend you're playing, and this last kind of push into price discovery is where most of the fun happens, right? This is where most of the fun happens. This is where 80% of the profits are made in 20% of the time, because a lot of this has been carried by Bitcoin, obviously, right? And that's kind of why it looks similar to the Bitcoin chart. But usually this last push, once you're in price discovery, for the asset class as a whole, you start to get more vertical. You start to get, that euphoria, that blow off top, and this slow grind off the lows turns into that parabola, and then eventually cooling off sometime for some time, right? So nothing has changed for me. Nothing has changed for me. That's how I play these markets. I've never hedged. I've been playing this bull cycle.
You're
for
just like me, Louis. I've never hedged.
Yeah, I've been playing this.
King shit, man.
I bought Bitcoin in 2022 around 17.5K, obviously, along with some altcoins, stuff like that. And I've been riding this ever since. I've never hedged in anticipation of downside, and I've never sold large percentage holdings of my conviction altcoin plays in anticipation of downside to buy lower, right? But here we are today. My portfolio is multiples higher than where I was 2.5 years ago. So it's different strokes for different folks, right? Some people can hedge, take advantage of some downside, hedge the portfolio. Other people can try to sell altcoins in anticipation of buying lower. That's a risky game that I don't play, right? But again, different strokes for different folks. Because I know you're going to be seeing a lot of that out there. And yes, the head is moisturized, and that's why it kind of looks like a disco ball. I did have to shave for the wedding. And
do you have to moisturize it to avoid like razor burn and stuff, or do you just kind of let it?
It helps. I definitely lotion it down. It gives it that shine effect after I shave.
Do you buff it, or it just shines like that naturally?
No, I just put some lotion on.
I didn't know if you took like a drill and you put like a car washing like buffer on it, and you just and like really buff it.
Yeah, no, I don't do that. But yeah, and for some reason, the light in my office is directly above me. So every time I don't wear a hat, I look like the last Airbender or something like that. I just have this light on my head. The last
Never-
meat
Never
stick.
Hedge
all right?
sounds like a rap cover or a rap
Yeah.
album cover. I gotta say.
Never hedge. But yeah, guys, I mean, that's what we're looking at. This is all that happened, right? So sometimes you got to zoom out. Sure, we had a nice little drop on Bitcoin, right? Sure, alts pulled back a little more after bleeding for about a week and a half. But this is how markets work, right? You go up, you go sideways, you go down, then you go up again, right? Until the high time frame trend is lost. Yeah, that's my TED talk. Thanks for coming.
Well, thanks for that, Louis.
You're
What do you guys? What do you make of the ETH movement this morning?
Well, I do think that ETH does remains to be bullish. This was pretty, we have to keep in mind that ETH on a daily time frame has been the most overbought in since 2021 bull market. It's not been more overbought than that. So it's normal for the price to react from a level that's been the most significant on this entire chart. But then again, you had the bears in a full force during this drop, calling for a cycle top yet again.
Jack, do you think that that's mental illness, or like, what do you think that that is?
Some people say small dick energy.
Yeah, it could be that. It could be that.
We're bringing it today. Let's go.
But but yeah, in my opinion, again, the forest here is that ETH is and has been accumulating since 2021. That's basically 5 years of price action. It's an institutional range for decades. And we had one of the most powerful level reclaims. Such reaction is normal. And what I suppose, well, I'm certain about it, that most people are really scared because alts didn't follow the E strengths yet. That's the tough part, right? Like BTC and ETH both looks amazing. That's going to translate into the total chart. Alts haven't followed yet, and that's the big issue. I mean, if they followed E strengths and pulled back from way higher, it would be way different situation. I think it's a big psyop in the market. Lots of bulls and bears at the same time don't really know what to think about stuff. It leaves them confused. They still clinch to the 4-year cycle. That gives them really headaches, when like where we are in terms of time frame, whether this market should be topping in like the next 2 months. Again, view this as a institutional range for decades. I think the reaction here from 4K was very likely. I discussed that a few times, and yeah, in August I could see us here ranging. Unfortunately, I'm not sure we are going to break it, although we would all love it. Well, I suppose except the bears. To break it, straight to the upside and finally be done with 4K. But realistically speaking, August, September seasonality is not the best. It's very much possible we are going to range here in August. But again, you lots of people probably need to study the Bitcoin fractal from post-COVID, and its recovery and the way price behaved after. So I do remain. As I was saying, I've seen bearish signs midweek, past week. They've played out really quickly, but the higher time frame outlook remains the same, and I remain very positive for the rest of the year and then the next year.
That's
I don't
funny.
think there's anything that would make me feel happier than this market topping in 3 months after a blow off. Nothing would make me happier.
This market ending in 3 months?
Yeah. But after a mania phase.
Yeah, but it doesn't unfold in 3 months. It's too quick.
I know. Because look at the Russell. Russell's not even in price discovery yet. I know. It's going to take some time.
I mean, yeah, I mean, as I keep on saying, sometimes it's just like you want to keep the eyes on the left curve too, right? And the left curve is, hey, we didn't have a BTC dominance bear market yet this entire cycle. So how can the cycle top be in?
It's a salient point.
This level for Bitcoin could be like similar to the level 4K level for ETH.
Yeah, I discussed that many times too.
Yeah.
And then once it breaks up, it may never revisit its prior range.
Yeah.
By the way, Coinbase rank, never reached number one this entire cycle in the App Store. In the prior cycle, the market topped on that. So I think these are all hints. Yeah.
Yeah, you even got the range low deviation back inside. Boom, boom, boom. 4K tap. Well, this wasn't 4K, obviously, but and then see you later. And this was a multi-year long range, very similar to ETH now, right? Very similar to ETH now.
I said Louis plenty times that 4K equals 12K.
Yeah.
And some people see that forest, and some people still, try to call the cycle top. Someone has to be the top buyer.
You even
I keep saying we all look at the same chart. We all feel the same emotions, but draw different conclusions.
Look at this. Hold on. Let's see if I can see this chart. No. Yes. Let's cook here for a second.
Let him cook.
I'm not great at this whole comparison.
I think that looks pretty good.
But I can get rid of this. This is a little wish I could just make it smaller, but no, it's fine. Let's get rid of it. But yeah, you got the descending resistance coming back from the previous cycle high. This was the 2017 cycle high. This is the 21 cycle high. You got the multi-year sideways range that's capping price for multiple years. Sideways range capping price for multiple years. You had the descending breakout, resistance breakout. We're getting the descending resistance breakout on ETH. You kind of rejected at this horizontal resistance. We're rejecting at this horizontal resistance. Yeah, we could totally chop in here for a little longer, but once this goes, it's really going to go, right? I like the comparison. I really do. I think that's a great comparison, Jack. This looks great. You even got the deviation of your range low, like we got here. Boom, back inside, sideways, sideways, sideways. Boom, back inside, sideways, sideways, sideways. Up, reject, down. Never look back. Up, down, reject, never look back. Not bad. Not bad.
So are we in that little, we're in that little drop right there right now. Is that what you're thinking?
That's what I would say. I don't know what Jackus thinks. That's how I'm kind of perceiving it. I don't know how he interprets it, but
yes, we are. So there are actually two fractals to this. One is from like a local price standpoint, from how ETH behaved. In that sense, I would say that ETH is sort of at 10K as like BTC was, but from the like a broader cycle fractal, then 4K equals 12K from a broader cycle. But from the most recent price behavior, then 4K is also 10K. I know it's sort of maybe like I view it as very simple, but I understand for some people that can be a bit harder to grasp, and you would really need to see them side by side. But that V-shaped recovery that we just gotten from ETH all the way up to 4K, that's sort of as BTC 10K back then. But again, from the cycle point of view, then 4K is 12K, because it's slightly different, but also very same.
Holy crap. So Bitcoin actually rejected here in August.
Yeah.
And didn't break out until October, so Q4.
Yeah. Well, we will have to see, right? Like how much time it gets. I think the mistake people do with fractals is that they, just like with anything, or even with correlations and stuff like that, they expect them to behave like 1-to-1 on every single hour and day. That's not how it works. You're not looking for, like, I can post a fractal of BTC in 2020 at the rejection from 10K, and they'll be like, oh, so it means that ETH will go sideways for 3 months. And I'm like, sure, it's possible, but it doesn't mean it will happen the same way, because what you're looking for with that fractal is see that reaccumulation take place, but it can take a different shape and form and even time. You're looking, again, the main idea from the fractal is to see that that reaccumulation beneath the major level, which is 4K, and that was 12K before. Its local price moves will be probably different, and then you're looking for the breakout higher, which can also be different. We might not go exactly at the straight line as BTC went in 2020 all the way up to basically 64K. There can be a midway, like a midway reset. There can be a midway semi-bear market that can last a few months, from like 10K down to 7K, for example. That can happen. But it will be up move and bull market. That's my main thesis.
Even this drop recently on Bitcoin reminded me of I know we were using this to compare it to ETH, but like even this drop on Bitcoin reminds me of a previous drop on Bitcoin, right? That kind of breakout, trade sideways, no one knows what's going to happen. Boom, boom, right? Oh, it's over. And then you just slowly grind. So, you never know. But, looks similar to both, right? Looks similar to both. Very similar.
The market is undeniable. Like, it's just facts, it still is in a bull market, and there is nothing bears can do about that. They try to stay relevant, and they are very vocal on any little downside, which is good. But I think that's good. If it's annoying, but it's good if you get me.
No, I think the funniest example it is just, there's this one guy, he's so irritating, man. He pinned a cycle top signal, like signals of cycle top, when we were at the Pico bottom, and he unpinned it like a week or two ago. Over the weekend, he made a tweet talking about, I don't know if you guys know this, but in group chats right now, they're asking if the cycle top is in. I'm just like, this guy, man. Oh, I'm not going to name.
Did he repin it?
No, I don't think he's repinned it, but
I thought that's what you were going to say. I thought you were going to say then he repinned it once he got the Bitcoin drop.
He's somebody who made a bag on the Hyperliquid airdrop, and ever since then, man, it's just like pseudo intellectual garbage every day.
That's most of CT. But
some people probably know who I'm talking about, but
I might know who you're talking about. Maybe.
Here.
Do we think?
Go ahead.
I was going to ask you guys, do you think that seasonality even matters anymore? It's been a fade this entire year.
Yeah, I think it does, but exactly to a very certain context and extent, and you have to exactly Like, you cannot expect it to behave as every other year when we've been totally off seasonality in Q1. So I do think that it will I'm not we know that seasonality wise, August and September are the most bearish months in a year for stocks and therefore crypto. But due to context, we do not expect. So we can say that we will probably not moonshot in those 2 months. But also, I'm not expecting us to crazily dump in August and September just because, hey, seasonality. That seasonality is based on the fact that usually you rally all the way from the start of the year until May, June. Then you go sideways in through the summer, and then you have a pullback in September and August. So again, does that seasonality come in a bear market? Does it come in a bull market? All of those are important questions. And then you can derive the extent of that.
I think Q4 seasonality is going to be respected.
Yeah.
I know we haven't really had much signal from seasonality as a whole this year, but I do think Q4 should be bullish seasonality, right? As long as we're not, just I think nuking across the board in equities, there's going to be that releveraging effect. You often see VCs and capital allocators in the same way they do with Q1 kind of allocate more aggressively at the start of Q4. So I think all of these things, as well as liquidity coming back in the market, are going to be positive for things into the end of the year. But yeah, until we get to Q4, who knows, man? Who knows? All bets are off. The market really hasn't respected seasonality at all this year, when in the first 2 or 3 years of the cycle, it was a very strict respecter of seasonality, right? Like, you almost were wasting 6 months of the year trying to trade any time that wasn't Q1 or Q4.
Well, it's like, I think Q1 just threw such a monkey wrench at this market. The tariff escalation, the aggressive selling, like you see the NASDAQ sell off 25 or 30%, whatever it was, in 2 or 3 weeks. It's like you might just have to shift your seasonality to consider that 90 days were just in complete statistical outlier territory. The entire the first 3 months of the year was just an anomaly, right? Which can just set off a big chain of events that dramatically shift everything. That's kind of how I view it, but it's not that profound.
I agree with that. I think, yeah, you're probably right, Max. Like, the just insane level of variance that we had from February to April, kind of, it's almost like a body going through a dopamine reset in a way. It nuked the May seasonality. Obviously, it nuked the Q1 seasonality. Summer seasonality still kind of been respected in the sense that it's low volume, grind, one directional price action. But because we were still coming out of that variance from Q1, there was just so much short volatility trade still left to be crushed, and we simply went higher. But yeah, I would like to think that the body has detoxed by Q4 and we get a little bit more consistency in that regard.
Yeah.
What do we think about the low cap trenches arena kind of doing its own thing? Right. I tweeted this out over the weekend because I think it's true. The low cap trenches, a lot of low cap tickers that have strong narratives, they've acted as a great hedge against this, the last week or so of downturn. What do you guys think about that?
There's always going to be a shit coin that's kind of going off. I'd say until you start to get them ripping over 100 or 200 million, then they're pretty just isolated PvP trenches plays that can do well. I'm not looking to it for too much signal. Like I've seen the plays that have been popping off. And I'm happy for those that are making money. But I don't think it's really like a broader signal because I haven't seen like the real. If you think back to last year, like Q1, Q2 of last year when things were just going nuts, there weren't plays that were ripping from like 0 to 50 million. There were every 3 days there was a new play ripping from 0 to 800 million, and then it would rug. We haven't seen the magnitude of like that come back even like a little bit. We have seen some decent plays, right? But nothing like the first half of last year when things really went nuts. And I think those are a decent signal in froth really coming back. I haven't seen the real froth come back. I've seen very isolated moves.
Yeah, I'm seeing glimmers of it. I wouldn't
Yeah.
say it's bad.
That's
I'm
a good word
definitely
for it, a
seeing,
glimmer.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm seeing glimmers of it. And in a handful of these tickers. But I just thought it was interesting.
Absolutely agree here with Max. I don't think there is much of an information from it for like the broader market. It's really just PvP trenches where market participants are tired of it and they are looking for something to run and make some buck on. But as Max said, until they run above 200 million market cap or something, it's just really liquidity flipping from one hand to another. And some people get lucky and some people lose in the game of the musical chairs until you start to see the whole space to go up, and then it's going to lift all boats. Then you'll get people rich again and ready to hyper gamble their wealth. Then that will really send all the trenches together to way higher valuations. But until then, again, as Max said, I think he said it perfectly, there is always going to be something that catches the mind share. But usually when it does, you're kind of too late to that play. Even though it can, my experience is that usually when kind of the mind share catches it, that's sort of when it can still keep on running, but you'll keep on holding it because you think it's going to go higher. Then the PvP meta naturally, produces a top, and then you go back to your break even. And there is like 2-3x maybe on it. And again, that's just sort of my experience. So I wouldn't really view it as something something special, honestly.
Yeah, I think I'm more interested to see the tailwinds coming into ETH on chain, honestly. And I think that's not something that's going to happen like immediately, but it is coming probably over the next few months. Maybe it takes longer than that, but we're getting ready to onboard institutional level capital to ETH on chain for real world assets.
That's
I'm
what
sure.
matters.
Yeah. And I really feel like that's going to kind of be, I don't even want to call it the trenches because we didn't even used to refer to ETH on chain as the trenches. It's just kind of like the stigma that that Solana on chain has gotten.
People forget, they call it the trenches like it's something you're supposed to win it. But in trenches, you mostly die, and in the best cases, you survive there. Like that's what the trenches were.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who coined the trenches, but he probably does, or whoever rather coined the trenches being like a positive connotation. He probably deserves like some sort of marketing award. But yeah, you wouldn't think something called the trenches would be super favorable to make money. But I will agree with what you guys have already said. I think there's always going to be some level of opportunity on chain. I think, and I tweeted about this a little bit over the weekend. I'm not going to get too deep into it. I do feel a certain level of euthanasia coaster as far as Solana on chain is concerned, where the runner of the month is progressively topping at a lower and lower market cap. I think Pump destroyed more value on Sol than people are willing to admit, which is weird because I feel like before Pump Fun actually launched launched its token, that was consensus, right? Like Pump Fund's going to launch and destroy a lot of on-chain liquidity on Solana. And a lot of these same people got pantsed longing Pump Fund. It was kind of this classic case of Stockholm syndrome that I can't even like really wrap my brain around. But yeah, I mean, right now, Useless is the kind of the highest volume meme coin on Sol. I'm not bearish on it, but I think at the same time, you know, when we're at the stage of the risk curve when we're naming memes literally after Useless, we're out of ideas, in my opinion. So that's my read on Sol on chain. I think the next like big resurgence is going to happen on ETH. But yeah, there's always going to be kind of those intra-week plays for runners for like 10 to 50 million market cap, I think, that you can capitalize on.
We called the Pump Fund, man. We said if it was a movie, it would be titled The Final Extraction. And look at what happened.
Yeah, Pump Fund just can't, it literally is incapable of pumping. I even tried my hand at along this weekend. It just cannot pump. I really thought, and it might still do it, like an exit pump towards however many zeros, 3.6, 3.7. Right now, it hasn't really shown that it wants to do that.
It still has minus 67% ahead of it. That's
I agree.
for Pump Fund.
The low being much closer to like 1 billion FDV, I think is kind of a good shelling point. But it's kind of a pain in the butt to trade. I'll be honest. I guess unless you're just perpetually shorting it, then it's probably great to trade.
Yeah, but then there is going to be that one quick squeeze.
Something I'm not taking my eye off of, though, that's kind of related to the Pump Fund meta is Launchcoin. I'm not a buyer at these prices. I actually think you probably want to see the handful of group chats who have been longing the low and consistently shilling it on X get liquidated, and then it'll be a good buy. I'm keeping an eye on Launchcoin. I actually could see it making a run towards the end of this year, but I kind of like it as a short candidate here, intra-week.
I don't know anything about it. I'm so out of touch with the trenches, man. It's like,
Me too.
for me, it's like I kind of dabbled with it last year in my own way, but it was more of like I'm not going to try to like pat my own back too hard, but it's like my journey in the trenches really was only to serve a purpose, which was like identifying bags that I think will outperform through the duration of the cycle. I found those bags. I'm out, you know, like I kind of view it this way, and maybe people will disagree with me, and that's fine. But if you're still trying to find your like make it bags this cycle, like your bags that are going to pump, and you think you're going to find a brand new ticker that's going to like retire you at this stage of the cycle, I think the chances of that are very, 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 very low. Like I think that it's going to be the bags that are going to really print millionaires are going to be the ones that have already been around for 6 months to a year. I think you can do fine playing in the trenches, just to be clear. Like if you're good at that and you have an edge, but I just don't think that like the alpha is going to be in finding new pairs, like brand new tokens, new memes, new whatever. I think it's going to be in finding the existing pairs that have survived a lot and are trying to gain traction against ETH when it inevitably breaks above 4K. Like, I think that's where the real money's going to be made. Find a ticker that's got 6 to 12 months of price history, pair it against ETH, pair it against others, pair it against Bitcoin, pair it against Pepe and Doge. If it looks bullish, it's probably going to do really well when ETH breaks 4K. I don't have an edge in finding brand new launches. I have a big following. That's my only edge. But that's an incredibly risky game for somebody like me, which is why I don't play it, right? Like, you don't know who's holding what. They're likely going to rug you, so like you take the risk in shilling it and drawing attention to it. And then some asshole who's got 4% of the supply bundled that you don't know just full stacks it. You look like an idiot and it wasn't even your fault. It's like, it's a really, really, really risky game for somebody in my position personally. Like, I'm not interested in taking those kind of risks at this phase of the cycle. I took them last year, and I'm still holding those bags, still nurturing those positions, and I plan to continue with it. But like, I don't have an edge, man. My edge is in charting and pair trading, and I have no edge. I have no more edge than anybody else out there in just like finding a new ticker and being like, oh, it's hot. And I can direct a lot of attention to something. I'm just not going to do it because it's super risky, right? So that's kind of my view of the trenches from my shoes. Is it's just like, why would I take on that kind of risk? Like, I have bags that are gonna make it bags for me, that they're gonna help me make it. They look good on every pair chart. It's just a matter of ETH perk it up above 4K and then it's game time. It's like, I'm not going to stick my neck out for some of these new projects and like, hope that other people that don't have to be held accountable do the right thing. That's just not a game for me. If it was early in the cycle and Bitcoin went through an 80% correction, that's different. Then we can prospect new cycle plays. We're in the last third of the cycle, guys. Like, look at where Bitcoin is at. Like, this is not a new cycle. We are in the last, I think, 6 to 12 months of this cycle, or how I would define the cycle. This is not when I go and try to prospect new plays. This is when I stick to my convictions, honor my plays, and hopefully they're the winners, That's just how I view it personally. So,
Well, I happen to know one bag that you hold, Max, that happens to be the best meme coin on the internet. So I do think you will be in time vindicated on that play.
Melania.
Hopefully later.
yeah, Melania. Which one is that, Tommy?
Oh, Melania.
I don't hold Melania anymore. Are you talking about Pepe?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, dude, I've been holding Pepe. Go to the archives of this channel, guys. I've been holding Pepe since 2023, Q3 2023. And I've doubled the size of my Pepe stack since then. I've done nothing but add. It's like, I'm just going to wait for Pepe to go to 50 billion and I'm good. Like, it's pretty hands off for me at this point. All my stuff's in long-term cap gains, like low tax rate in the US. I've got an entry that will never be visited again. What do I need to take on more risk for? I need to take on less risk. Okay.
Melania got delisted from few exchanges, by the way, like Binance.
The future of finance deleted. What?
Yes.
Melania. The next NVIDIA? What?
Wait, did they actually
the token everyone wanted and bought?
Did they actually delist it?
Yes, they have. It's gone.
It's a good thing. They really should delist more tokens. If you want my honest
that would be
opinion.
bullish.
These other meme coins that have no volume, they're just this perpetual bleed. Sure, you might have a great community, but like, your token needs to go, man. You can't be on the exchange anymore.
Tommy, imagine if they announce mass delisting, like Binance goes on and is like, because it's the number one by far
That would
spot
be
exchange
really
in
funny.
crypto, right? Imagine if Binance goes in and announces a mass delisting. Everyone starts delisting their tokens. Sorry, everyone starts to dump shitcoins. Like, everything would just go down, and they would announce those delists, and the market would just cleanse itself. Suddenly, there is only few of them, and everyone is sitting on that cash, from the shit that they sold, and they're like, yeah, this will stay, and everyone starts.
There's some truth to that, though, Jackus. It's almost like the market needs somebody to pick the winners for them.
Mhm.
because otherwise they're just going to keep latching on to the newest micro cap, hoping that they got in before everybody else.
Yep. Yep. Buy my shitcoin.
His Excellency sends his regards.
Is Tron a shitcoin? Yeah, it's shitcoin. Buy my shitcoin.
What do you guys think about trad markets here?
Well, I think it's been a little bit overreaction actually on Friday from the jobs data, and I think the market kind of needed an excuse for a pullback. It did so. It might continue for a little longer, the technical pullback, but again, it's you want to keep it simple. You want to understand it's still a bull market and ride it. And I think it can last. Based on historical data, very good chances the bull market here lasts for another year or two. Historically speaking, it should last another 2 years from here.
2 years?
Yes.
Doesn't the liquidity cycle top in 2026?
Sorry?
Doesn't the you guys know what I'm talking about, right? That graphic that highlights the timing of the liquidity cycle.
I think that's 27, no?
Is it?
I'm not sure.
I'd have to find the graphic. I don't even know where I'd find it. I will say, when I was it's been a while since I've quoted him on this show, but when I was listening to Cem Carson talk about kind of the scenarios for August and September, I thought it was really interesting that he said, if you get another event like last August, it's a buy the dip. Because volatility right now is very well supplied. You'd almost prefer, I think, a deeper push down than just like this dribble bleed throughout the month of August. So I think I'm kind of interested to see what the next few weeks look like for that reason.
Now, he said if. He's not expecting it. He's just like, if that does happen.
He said his, like, the lowest probability scenario for August is a full event. But if you do get it, it's a buy the dip. It's a buy the dip into the end of the year. If we're not trending down or like showing weakness by the end of September, so basically if we're above all-time highs into Q4, you're probably going to get a massive markup in Q4 because of rebalancing effects and just a myriad of different things. We were kind of talking about them earlier on the show, but yeah, those were kind of two scenarios. The worst, I mean, the scenario that is most likely to favor bearish conditions until the end of the year was like a dribble bleed into September and then a deeper drop in Q4. That's what we don't want, in my opinion.
What we want is East breaking 4K and then Russell breaking all-time highs and then interest rate cuts and then low yields and then alt season, baby, bring it, come on.
Talk dirty to me, Jackus.
Are you wet yet?
Oh my goodness.
Oh my god.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, I from what I hear, right? Like big money, big institutional money, and the way they look at bull markets is they, believe it or not, they do look at equity bull markets kind of in that cyclical nature, right? And from what I'm hearing, what I'm seeing out there is that they expect, your average bull market to last 4 years. That's kind of how they see it. And that puts, like Tommy said, into 2026 for the bull market to continue. So that would mean that we have, 6, 9 to 12 months worth, left in the tank for a seasonality, or not seasonality, but like an average duration of a bull market from low to high. So I could see that. I could see that playing out. And this was just, a pullback after a V-shaped recovery, kind of looks like here, right? Like boom, V-shaped recovery, sell off, and then grinding higher, right? I don't know how
That's
this
what I'm
line.
thinking we're heading into, Louis, is just like one of those mechanical walk-ups that just extends a long, long, long time.
Yeah.
That would be horrible, but I could definitely see it.
Why would that be horrible?
Because you'd probably see something like ETH go sideways for a really long time before breaking out. I think.
I wouldn't mind it.
Just I'm okay with directionality at this point. Just give me some volatility, man. And we're getting close, I think, to there's always like that very volatile event every summer towards the end. Like the last 2 or 3 years without fail, we've had one. So I'd say we're probably getting close to that point. Maybe it's another drive down, maybe it's a big squeeze up. But I kind of feel like we're getting really close to the point where we should be seeing some volatility at the end of the summer. As TradFi comes back, they're going to want better fills in either direction. So I think we're going to get, as a trader, I'm hoping that we get that volatility. I think we will.
But see, like when the Russell kind of went vertical in 2021 there, like Louis, pull up the NASDAQ below it. Can you add the NASDAQ right below it?
Yeah, you want
Click the plus sign. Click the plus sign, yeah. And then just type in like QQQ or NDX, whatever. Either one, doesn't matter. You might need to put it in like log mode or something so we can see it. But like you see the mechanical walk up that was occurring right there. I'm pretty sure that ETH and shitcoins went crazy when the NASDAQ does that walk up,
Mm-hmm. Because this is like that point I just pointed out on NASDAQ.
Exactly.
That happened, pulled back, Russell pulled back, and then during this mechanical walk up to finish the cycle, Russell went vertical. I mean, that's the phase of the cycle we're in, right? And that's why, that's what I keep kind of expressing as far as where I think we're at with Bitcoin and crypto. Like similar to the Russell, we run last, right? The riskiest, lowest cap assets run the hardest towards the end of these, 4-year liquidity cycles, business cycles, equity cycles, whatever you want to call it. The riskiest stuff runs last, and it also tends to run the hardest, right? So great representation of that, right? NASDAQ, slow grind higher for another year or so after V recovering. And during that, the low cap stuff went vertical. And this is just the Russell. I guarantee if I put ETH and altcoins on here, it was doing something very similar. And that's where I think we're at, right? And I'm not going to let these minor pullbacks shake me out of that thinking, because that's been my thesis this whole time. Like I mentioned, since back in 2022, right? It's a multi-year long swing trade on crypto. That's what it is, and that's how I played it over the last 8 years. And you could try to trade in and out, and throughout that time, sure you could do good, but you also could screw yourself royally in the same way. So, I just hold my conviction bags and continue to find opportunities, like generate more capital, right? More revenue, personally. And I continue to find new opportunities throughout that. And if you continue to do that, continue to keep yourself in the game, you should do well. You should do well while you're waiting.
The cycle's been all about longevity.
Yep. Living to fight another day. Living to fight another day. Very important.
The impatient have consistently been carted out of this market, whether it be chasing momentum, whether it be having timelines that were too expedited. whether it be, looking for shorts too early after run-ups. I mean, who knows? It's been a lot of different things, right? But we really have, at least for crypto, there haven't been that many like trending days. There's been a lot of chop in between, but I do think, I mean, Louis, you highlighted some very salient points. It's very much a game of longevity right now. We don't know when the cycle top is going to be. Could it be Q4? Could it be at the end of next year? Who knows? But you're not going to get to enjoy the spoils of an eventual cycle top if you don't stay in the game.
It's a game of not losing your mind, basically, because everyone is like, come on, give me harder battles.
You're still alive?
He's still alive? How? I did my best to fucking make you kill yourself.
What did you say earlier, Tommy? Is like everyone's like, oh man, we're stuck here with Wintermute. No. Wintermute is stuck here with us.
It's stuck here with me.
I can remain.
We're not leaving.
I can remain like psychopathically bullish longer than they could remain solvent.
Rather, they can remain delta neutral.
Right?
Yeah. I
They're
can
delta
remain
neutral.
posting my shit coins longer than they can remain moving the price up and down.
They're delta neutral. I don't know what all the fuss is about. I don't get it.
Totally, 100% delta neutral all the time. Obviously.
Obviously. I'm a winter.
Can't lose any money when you're delta neutral. But we're making lots of money. God, I hate Wintermute. If they pump Pepe, they'll be my goat. So
they still have time for redemption, is what you say.
They do, but
how much time left?
They're running out of time. Yeah,
running out of time. Time is on our side.
Well, one thing is for sure, they already made you gay. So
hey, the market check audience didn't know about that, Jackus.
Oh, true. They don't know.
But now they do, I guess. No, I made a comment to Max and Tucker that last week. I was like, the lows are in the next 24 hours or I'm gay. And obviously they weren't. So I mean, here we are.
It is what it is. Tommy's a man of his word. He's an honorable man.
Just look at his profile picture. Who is behind him, right? His Excellency.
That's his boyfriend now. Yeah.
All the hints are there.
They're practicing long distance because he's in space right now, I think. So
is he still in space right now?
Oh, I don't know.
Because I was going to say that. You're really funny.
Can he take all the shit coins with him to the space? Please. Asking for a friend.
Like, how's he going to go up there and not shill shit coins, you know?
Right? It's like a betrayal to the shitcoin space. Come on, you don't do that.
It's too good.
Louis, talk to me about Pepe, if you'd be such a gentleman.
And talk dirty.
Anything bearish, and I shut the stream down permanently. Market check is canceled. So just
so it's a free choice. It's a free choice, basically.
Yeah.
So all I had to do was just move this from here to here.
That's an expert move right there. Is moving the goalpost, Louis. It's a very advanced thing to do. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I have to do. And it's like, okay.
Also, real quick, did you guys happen to see the first episode of South Park new season? Did you watch it?
No,
I haven't yet, but I plan to.
Oh, do you mean how they ridiculed Trump?
Yes, I watched it over the weekend. First of all, holy crap! But there's also like a scene in there that reminds me of what I just did to Louis, where they're like all these news outlets afraid to shit talk Trump. So they're like on the news and they're like trying to cover what's going on, but they're having to put a positive spin on it, even though they don't want to. But anyways, I was going to make a joke that's what I'm doing to Louis, where I'm forcing him to be overwhelmingly bullish threatening
that.
him. But anyways, you haven't
that.
seen it, so never mind.
I mean, I like this. I like that we're stacking highs, right? We got two nice, juicy stacked highs. We had a nice move off the lows. Personally, total transparent, didn't think we'd return down to here, right? Down to this multi-week reaccumulation down here. We did, in fact, do that, right? And it's very apparent that even before, this sell-off we saw Friday into the weekend, Pepe did seem to be a little more heavy, right? But at the end of the day, do want to see a move here, right? Do want to see some reversal. And one thing to note about Pepe is, this is what I tell the Discord all the time. Pepe always looks horrible before it pumps. Like, look at this, right? Like, this looked absolutely horrible. This looked like, oh no, we're losing market structure. Pepe's dead. Boom, meat stick for your face, right? Like, again, oh no, we're getting rejected at resistance. Droopy, droopy, droopy. Boom, meat stick, right? It just always does, right? Even here. Oh, it's gonna go. Oh no, it's over. It's over. Boom, boom, boom. Right. So
Pepe does
just
have a
kind of
way
how
of
this-
looking horrible before it goes. Horrible.
and that's kind of, it's Pepe, but it's also altcoins, right? Like, altcoins always look the worst before they look amazing. It's just kind of the nature of this market. It's people being over leveraged, using way too much leverage. You get those cascading liquidation events that pulls the market lower than you would think. It's just kind of how it is, right? It's just kind of how it works. Like, even going back to here, right? Like, look how horrible this looked. Because like Max said, he's been holding Pepe since 2023, right? This is where I was buying Pepe as well, in this range. And I still own all my Pepe, right? But I mean, if you're looking at this and going, first of all, looked great, right? Kind of like what we just saw a month ago out of Pepe. Bang, big breakup. People start chasing because they weren't buying this. And then it chops everyone up and slow bleeds for weeks. Boom, looks like you're losing market structure, right? Oh, market structure break. You're losing your range. We're coming down.
Everybody wanted, that low. Everybody wanted those equal lows down there.
And then boom, looks horrible. Back inside, mega meat stick, right? 12x for Pepe. So that's what I would say about Pepe is, yes, TA is good. TA works. But you have to understand the market you're in, and we're in crypto, right? So I know from experience, for being in this market for 8-9 years now, TA is great, right? This, TA would tell you you're losing market structure, bearish, right? Doesn't look good. But with the context of, well, this is crypto. They love deviations. They love overextending the market lower than it should go before the big moves. So I know it's been heavy. I know it's been bleeding, but in my experience, it always tends to look the worst before the big moves happen. That's just kind of how it is.
I would only add to that, Louis, that the thing with TA and market structure is that the hard part about it is that there's always like a battle of different time frames. And I've said this to people, there is always at any given moment a reason to be both bullish and bearish on certain time frames. And the hard part then is done when you kind of build the context from higher time frame to lower time frame and not the other way around. And so before all of these reversals, you usually get a very horribly looking lower time frame while you get a higher time frame support, and then you get a no lower time frame retest, and the market runs. And so if you even look back at the previous 23 range, right, the bottoming one, the very early, you would tend to see that, well, yes, there was a like a breakdown on the daily. In reality, it was just a giant inverted head and shoulders pattern where Pepe was just retesting the prior base, basically. So And then you got the range reclaim from there. So you either could have been buying the breakdown on the daily, while buying the inverted head and shoulders on the weekly, or you could have waited for that range reclaim after. And that's kind of where lots of people make lots of mistakes. Oh, hello, butters. And and that's sort of what is happening right now is even BTC and ETH, you'll get them, shortly being bearish, and then they do remain bullish on the higher time frame. So yeah.
And again, just like how I mentioned, like I'm liking the look of Pepe because you're stacking these highs. Funny enough, looked exactly the same back here before the 12x to where we are now, pretty much. These slanted, stacked high, inverse head and shoulder setups work, right? Because you do have these stacked highs, right? And very similar. If you guys were paying attention a month or two ago when I was covering Bitcoin and that consolidation we were in at the all-time highs, I kept talking about the stacked highs we had in that consolidation, right? Never taking the external liquidity of these stacked highs, continuing to stack lower highs, eventually using that as fuel. Because once you do come back and return to these stacked highs and you start running them, this is shorts and big positioning having to cover or close or getting liquidated. And that's what juices the move way higher, right? So in the same way where I'm talking about, cryptos can come a lot lower and cascade lower due to, leverage markets, it works the other way too, right? It's going to push price way higher and explode price higher when you do start having that leverage kind of liquidation, but works to the upside just as it does to the downside. So yeah, I mean, Pepe looks very similar to how it looked here, right? Stacked highs coming a lot lower than people thought, right? And then boom, it 10x. Not saying it's going to do this. I mean, it totally can, but it's just using the context of understanding how these tickers trade.
So we're bullish.
Always have been.
Always have been. It's been a frustrating hold, but it'll be worth it. I think the reason that it feels so emotionally taxing right now, one, yes, the time, but two, the recency of that ETH pump and how we did not receive the gifts that we thought we would from the recent ETH move. But just because it didn't happen doesn't mean that it won't. Like, these things have diverged from each other before, and it's going to be fine. So,
yep. This structure looks a lot like the lows back then. I like it.
Yeah, I don't think it looks that bad here. Well, I mean, it could look better, obviously, but I think you're beginning to find a bottom. And realistically, some of these coins that, we've kind of seen this relationship between alts and Bitcoin a handful of times throughout the cycle, where alts will kind of just progressively bleed and front run the Bitcoin move down. And so when the move down on Bitcoin actually happens, you see this divergence on a lower time frame between altcoins where they're actually a lot stronger, or, on a relative basis, they're not selling anywhere near as hard as you'd think for a Bitcoin move to that degree. So I kind of think that's what's happening again here with Pepe and Bitcoin. And realistically, we should begin to see Pepe start carving out another local low. I know I will say I heard a good bit of rhetoric over the weekend. I kind of want, because it's so like crypto or so much like a crypto thing to think about. But usually when we're saying on something like Pepe, it has to hold this level or else, usually that guy gets liquidated and then that's the bottom. You know what I mean? So altcoins will always trade much higher and much lower than you expect. But I think that's kind of why we like to trade them, right? They push pain points. And I guess, as a byproduct of that, pleasure too on the opposite side when they swing up. But yeah, I mean, Pepe is a kind of like the quintessential example of an altcoin, and just like it's painful to trade, but to hold over time, it has been progressively accruing value every year against Bitcoin and ETH since its inception.
What do you make of Fartcoin here, Louis? I'd love to see your thoughts on that.
Let's take a look. I haven't looked at it in a while. Where is it? Oof.
I kind of view this as range low support personally.
Yeah. It's a range until proven otherwise, right? So,
Well,
yeah.
I'm gonna add. Think of what we just discussed on Pepe during that 2023 bottoming range. Look for a daily breakdown, then look to buy it.
Yeah, I mean, this is the biggest demand level on the chart. You poked ahead above range highs, right? This has been a multi-month distributive type looking range. I'll say that. But like Jack has just said, like a lot of times in crypto on these tickers, you get that breakdown of that daily structure. But a lot of times it's a deviation, right? Just how it was here, right? This looked like it was going to break the range, go into price discovery. Nope, back inside the range and more range, right? The range is ranging. Kind of how you just saw here. This is what ETH looked like, right? Middle of last year, looked like it was breaking that 4K range. Boom, back inside. 3, 4, 5 months of down. Came all the way down to the other side of the range, deviated it, got back inside, and now ETH is back up here, right? So right now, this looks like reaccumulation. I know I mentioned distribution, but if you start doing something like this, right, where this is a deviation, you get back inside the range, you start trading like this will start looking a lot more like reaccumulation distribution, right? And it doesn't really make sense to distribute this chart in the middle of the chart, right? Usually you see distribution at extremes, not in the middle, right? So to me, looks like a range, obviously, likely reaccumulation of some sort. This was the trap late longers coming back down. They're all puking. They panic sell right back into big money bids. They buy it back up. They get it back inside the range, and then they do the real move after clearing everyone out here, right? And that's kind of how it works, in my opinion. This is how big money accumulates stuff, right? They can't just go, oh, Fartcoin's at a good price, I'm buying it all right here, right? Because their size is too big, right? So you have slippage, you have all that stuff. They kind of have to manipulate price in a way where they make big buys at the key areas, but they still want to bring it back down to get all of their fills, right? So that's kind of what I'm looking at right now. You're at support. I'm never a seller of support. I usually look for buys on a chart like this that's in this area. So that's what I think. I think it's probably a buy down here, right? Whether we come slightly lower, I don't know, right? Before doing this, it's possible. But you're in the area, right? I wouldn't be selling here to try to buy back here, right? That's a recipe for disaster. That's a portfolio killer. But I'd be looking for some sort of reclaim of the range. And then this move will be a lot less forgiving than this slow grind, right? Because everyone that got chopped up on this, they're not going to trust this move, right? But it's going to likely happen fast, hard, and they're going to have to FOMO back higher. Very similar to what he just did, right? We saw how vicious the move back to range highs has been from ETH, pretty much straight up, right? So, yeah, that support. This looks like one of the pit stops before creating enough juice to head back to those all-time highs, in my opinion. I don't hold this ticker, right? This is just me analyzing the chart and knowing how cryptos like to trade and how big money accumulates and in a way manipulates these charts.
This is a very manipulated chart.
Yeah, you could tell.
Very, very manipulated.
Yeah, you've been around long enough, you could tell.
Yeah, I mean, this chart trades like a complete scam, honestly. This is a Wintermute classic, quite frankly. You had the very slow, grindy uptrend. You didn't even really have like super aggressive price appreciation. Like you did off if you bought the local lows, but if we're talking in terms of velocity, it didn't really give you like massive up thrusts higher. And then after that, you're just in this hellish range for the last 4 or 5 months. You get a slow walk up towards range highs, and it just, brutal rug, honestly. Brutal rug. But it is technically just in a range, right? So, Louis, I think you got the right approach to be looking to play extremities here on an asset that has still quite a lot of mind share, and will likely have, a lot of mind share going forward.
And Tommy, I think that takes us into time, brother.
I think it does. I think that's a good spot for us to wrap up. We hope you enjoyed Market Check today, guys. Happy Monday. This was, I think, a good start to the week. Ahead of a big week, I feel like, for markets. I think we're getting close to some August volatility, some end of summer volatility as we have over the last, kind of few years. We'll see what direction it comes in, but we're going to be here to dissect it for you either way. But thanks for tuning in, guys. If you enjoyed Market Check today, we'll be back for another episode. Reminder that we are live Monday, Wednesday, and Friday with our typical start time around 11:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if this is your first time, or if you just enjoy the content, you want to see more of us. That's a great way to do it. But also make sure to check out some of our newer programming, which is Ape Time with BB. That is a show that we host every Thursday at the same time as Market Check. So if you enjoyed this casted crew, you would like to see us maybe even in a different setting where we are actively trading. And we've been really enjoying those shows. So check that out. That is this Thursday, like I said. But also make sure to check out Market Talk, hosted by the legendary King Wabi, who has been absolutely crushing this market. And that is live Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, since we did just kind of change our schedule here a little bit. Make sure to stay following and subscribe to the Because Bitcoin X account so you can be notified not just when we schedule those spaces, but of course also when we go live. That does bring us to the end of the show. Before we have you guys run, I'm just going to play a quick commercial for the BB terminal. Maybe you've been tearing it up on chain. Maybe you are looking to tear up on chain as it heats back up on ETH, on Solana, or really any other chain that you're interested in potentially transacting on. Well, we've got a tool for you to be able to really conquer these markets and potentially gain an edge over your competition. So check out the BB terminal, guys. We just launched our new BB DGen page about 2 weeks ago. If you've already used it, you probably already love it. If you haven't used it, you will love it. So check that out, guys. Everything that I just mentioned is linked in the description below. But thanks again, guys. We hope you have a great rest of your Monday, a great rest of your week, and we'll see you again on Wednesday, guys. Thanks again.
Tired of outdated trading tools, confused charts, dozens of tabs, endless stress? You're not alone. Introducing BB Terminal, your all-in-one command center for crypto trading. Track your portfolio, monitor the markets, stay ahead, all in one place. From chaos to clarity, from struggle to success. BB Terminal,